upgraded to a flagrant 2.
The defensive foul on Dejanay Carrington has been upgraded to a flagrant foul, penalty 2. Since there's wind-up, impact, and follow-through, high potential for injury, players in a vulnerable position. Since the basket was successful, Sophie Cunningham will receive 2 free throws to make 1.
There's wind-up, there's follow-through, there's potential for injury, the player's in a vulnerable position, and so Dejanay Carrington, who had been off to an incredible...
The most explosive scene of the WNBA season did far more than interrupt a basketball game. It cracked open a much bigger crisis surrounding trust, control, and accountability across the league. What unfolded between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky began with a vicious collision on the court, then rapidly spiraled into social media warfare, coaching controversy, and an officiating disaster that left fans questioning nearly everyone involved. Viewers watched in disbelief as one dangerous foul triggered retaliation, accusations, divided loyalties, and a chain reaction that kept getting worse by the minute. Inside the arena, the pressure was already suffocating, and as two bitter rivals fought for control, the tension finally erupted into a confrontation that would dominate discussion long after the final whistle.
Dejanay Carrington went to the locker room and tweeted,
Maybe upgraded, I think, to a flagrant.
"White privileged. How in the hell is this white privilege when you assaulted a player? Sophie didn't touch you. How is this a race issue?" Make it make sense. Because I am definitely confused here, guys. I mean, I am hella confused. How is this a race issue, bro? And then not only that, Sophie Cunningham speaks on the matter. So immediately after the game, y'all know the reporters wasted no time catching up with the Sophster, and a lot of stuff did happen, and I did forget about the
Early in the first quarter of this heated matchup, Indiana came out determined to match Chicago's physicality and impose itself immediately. Sophie Cunningham collected the ball in transition and exploded toward the basket with a clear opportunity to finish a fast break layup. By that point in the season, Cunningham had earned a reputation as one of Indiana's toughest competitors, someone willing to absorb contact, defend teammates, and never shy away from confrontation. Racing behind her was Chicago guard Dejanay Carrington, rapidly closing the distance as Cunningham approached the rim. Carrington's pursuit quickly turned the routine transition play into something far more dangerous, as she arrived at full speed just as Cunningham prepared to leave the floor.
Yeah, so she said they gave us the same explanation. And when you mix that in with what the referee said even transpired in the first place once again.
Yeah, she intentionally seeked out the official.
She intentionally, Caitlin Clark intentionally seeked out an official and used a...
You were backwards to them. Did you even know they were there in that moment?
And through the forearm.
And through a forearm. So Caitlin intentionally, that's a wild accusation, by the way, not accidentally, intentionally ran in and seeked out an official and threw a forearm, when you can clearly see in real time that Caitlin Clark was literally hip bumped by Natasha Howard while she was mobile. You guys know when you're running, you are in a vulnerable position. Any slight push or anything can really exaggerate your trajectory and where you're headed.
So clearly was a foul. It was not called.
How is that a forearm extension? Can somebody please let me know, how is this a forearm extension?
So clearly was...
How is this a forearm extension? Is this a forearm extension to you guys? If anything, that's a backhand extension. But this referee wouldn't know that. I'm telling you, man, this target on CeCe's back is clear as day. But anyways, Caitlin Clark already knew what was going on. As I said, she was a little too confident right here. President Clark, somebody must have told her something. This was my reaction to it. I'm on the bottom right, if you can't tell.
Another technical foul. I know that can lead to another suspension.
Of course, Kelsey laughing.
Thoughts on what happened?
She said I ran into her. I've already watched it on the tape, so we'll let the league decide, but it wasn't intentional or anything. So I'm hoping it's getting rescinded, Holly. I'll see you.
The moment Cunningham rose toward the basket, Carrington came through with a devastating high-impact blow across the head and neck area. The contact sent Cunningham crashing violently to the hardwood, even as the ball still found its way through the hoop. In a split second, what should have been a normal fast break finish transformed into one of the ugliest scenes of the game. The force of the collision immediately changed the atmosphere inside the building, with players, fans, and broadcasters reacting to just how severe the hit appeared. Cunningham had been knocked out of her normal path in midair and driven hard onto the floor, creating a frightening visual that made the play impossible to dismiss as ordinary contact.
I hope she's done at the end of this season. I can't believe, I don't care if Dejanay Carrington played for you in the past. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, they are in your locker room right now, and you are defending Dejanay Carrington. We're going to compare what you had to say, Stephanie White, to the fans, what they had to say about Dejanay Carrington calling this white privilege. Nasty work, man. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit the bell notification, like the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. We got to get into it, man. Stephanie Dingbat White, bonehead. The lady has no idea what she's doing. She's in over her head. She's way over her head when it comes to this job. She needs to go back to being head coaches of teams that nobody really gives a damn about. And it's that simple. Take a listen to Stephanie White defending Dejanay Carrington. This is disgusting. If I'm Sophie Cunningham, I'm pissed. My mouth was bleeding. She tried to take my head off, and you at the podium talking about, oh, you don't think it was on purpose. What?
And also there was, for Steph, there was Sophie's flagrant foul from Dejanay. Just what was your reaction to that? Just your thoughts on what happened?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that Dejanay intentionally came out to get her across the neck. Like.
What are you talking about? What are you just have your team's back, bruh? When do you have your team's back, Stephanie?
Cunningham refused to stay down or quietly absorb what had happened. Almost immediately after hitting the court, she jumped back to her feet, visibly furious, and moved straight toward Carrington. Cunningham shoved her aggressively before teammates and officials rushed between them, grabbing both players and preventing the confrontation from escalating into a much larger fight. For several tense seconds, the possibility of a bench-clearing incident felt very real as emotions boiled over on both sides. Players scrambled to separate the two while referees attempted to restore order, and the crowd's reaction turned the entire scene even more hostile. What had started as one dangerous foul was now threatening to become a full-scale altercation in front of a national audience.
At all. She was ejected from the game. It was a flagrant 2. The refs got it right. Don't worry. They'd fuck that up later. I mean, I can't give them credit. How about this, folks? This is me, yours truly. Follow me on the Twitter, @Rhodes How about this, folks? Quote, white privilege with your blonde hair. Yeah, culturally appropriating Sophie Cunningham's hair? Oh, that's a bad look. I'm just pointing that out. Now, I tagged the WNBA in this, @WNBA. This feels like a threat against the Indiana Fever. Dejanay tweets out 8:23 with a smile. Now, again, that's the next time they play, folks. What you gonna do on 8:23? What's going down 8:23 @Kathy Engelbert, @W? You got your ears on? That sounds a whole lot like its own site. Its own site. Clay Travis, blatant racism on the foul in the tweet. She should be thrown out of the league for the rest of the year. But it's the WNBA, so she would probably get a 5-year contract extension. Yeah.
Then the controversy expanded far beyond the original collision. Officials immediately went to the monitor and studied the play from multiple replay angles, where the footage showed a high-impact strike involving significant force and contact across Cunningham's upper body and neck area. After review, the call was upgraded to a flagrant foul penalty 2, which meant Carrington was ejected and sent to the locker room. But instead of the situation cooling down, it exploded online. Shortly after leaving the floor, Carrington posted a provocative accusation involving white privilege on social media and directly tagged the Indiana Fever, dragging an already emotional basketball incident into a much broader public battle. Suddenly, the discussion was no longer limited to whether the foul was reckless or intentional. The post transformed the confrontation into a national media story and intensified the personal hostility surrounding the game. Cunningham later addressed the incident during post-game interviews and made her position unmistakable. She said she viewed Carrington's foul as intentional and unnecessary, explaining that although the two did not have a personal history, she believed there may have been built-up frustration behind the contact. Cunningham also made clear that she was not going to allow someone to hit her that way without responding and standing up for herself. Yet the biggest surprise may have come from Cunningham's own coach. When Stephanie White appeared before reporters, many Fever supporters expected a forceful defense of her player after such a dangerous collision. Instead, White said she believed the play was a hard foul but did not think Carrington had intentionally targeted Cunningham's neck. While she still accepted the official's decision to assess the flagrant 2 and eject Carrington, her insistence that the contact was accidental immediately sparked outrage among Indiana fans. To critics, the comments sounded like White was minimizing what her own player had just endured, and supporters questioned why a head coach would hesitate to condemn a hit that had sent Cunningham crashing violently onto the floor. The optics created another layer of controversy around Indiana, with fans demanding stronger public support for one of the team's most physical and vocal competitors. On the Chicago side, head coach Tyler Marsh offered little clarity. He said he had not watched a replay, and suggested Carrington had been attempting to make a play on the basketball. When reporters asked about Carrington's social media post, Marsh said he had only just learned about it and would address the situation internally. Those answers did little to calm the backlash, and the unanswered questions continued piling up. Meanwhile, the officiating crew was having problems of its own. Later in the game, Caitlin Clark was pulled directly into the chaos when referees assessed her a technical foul after she made contact with an official near the sideline. The problem was that replays appeared to show Clark being bumped off balance while moving at high speed, causing her momentum to carry her toward the referee. The contact did not look deliberate, yet the official ruled that Clark had intentionally made contact and issued the technical. That decision immediately became enormous because it represented Clark's 8th technical foul of the regular season. Under league rules, reaching 8 technicals would result in an automatic 1-game suspension, suddenly putting Indiana at risk of losing the biggest star in women's basketball because of what appeared to be a major officiating mistake. The potential suspension created an instant public relations crisis. Fans flooded social media with replay footage, arguing that Clark had clearly been pushed into the official, while commentators questioned how the league could allow such an obvious error to potentially remove its most visible player from an upcoming game. The disputed whistle threatened to overshadow Indiana's victory and further damaged confidence in the officiating crew after an already chaotic night. Clark, however, remained composed afterward. During her post-game interview, she explained that the referee believed she had intentionally run into her on the sideline, but Clark said she had already watched the replay and expected the league office to evaluate what truly happened. She emphasized that the contact was accidental, caused by the play itself, and said there had been no verbal exchange connected to the incident. The league eventually stepped in and reversed the call. After reviewing the available footage, officials determined that Clark's contact with the referee had resulted from momentum after she was pushed, and the technical foul was officially rescinded. That decision removed the threat of an automatic suspension and prevented Indiana from losing Clark over the disputed whistle. But while the reversal protected Clark, it also raised another uncomfortable question. How had the referees gotten such an important decision wrong in the first place? By the end of the night, the game had become a symbol of much deeper frustration with officiating across the league. Fans and analysts criticized the crew for allowing dangerous physical play to escalate while simultaneously punishing accidental contact with a referee. One moment resulted in an ejection after a brutal hit. Another nearly triggered a superstar suspension over a call that the league itself later overturned. And both incidents fed the perception that officials were struggling to control increasingly intense games. The consequences did not end at the final buzzer. Carrington's foul and her subsequent social media post added another layer of hostility between rival teams. Cunningham's immediate response reinforced her image as someone unwilling to back down, while Clark's calm reaction to the technical controversy showed a different kind of resilience under pressure. Stephanie White's post-game comments created internal criticism from supporters. Tyler Marsh's answers left key issues unresolved, and the refereeing mistakes only widened the distrust surrounding league decision-making. What happened between Indiana and Chicago was no longer simply about one hard foul or one bad whistle. It became a collision of physical basketball, personal grudges, public accusations, coaching decisions, and institutional credibility. Cunningham absorbed a frightening blow, responded without hesitation, and later challenged the idea that the incident was just another basketball play. Clark nearly faced a suspension because of an officiating call that ultimately could not survive league review. And as every replay, interview, post, and ruling spread across the sports world, one thing became obvious: future meetings between these teams will carry even more tension. In a season already filled with controversy, This matchup showed just how quickly a single play can ignite a league-wide firestorm, where one hit, one tweet, one coaching comment, and one whistle can completely reshape the conversation.